Hi everyone, it's Miss Alison, North Rutherford County 4-H, and I'm back again today with another video lesson. Today we're going to be talking all about parts of a plant, photosynthesis, and pollinators. I hope you get to learn something new, and I can't wait to jump into it with you guys. All right everyone, we're going to go ahead and start off today by talking about the parts of a plant. I've got a couple of posters here that I'm going to be talking you guys through when we talk about the parts of a plant, but we're going to be using this one first. So first things first, here we have a flower. Now you are all familiar with what a flower is, and this is just what the flower would look like if you were to cut it in half so that you can see all of the stuff that's in the inside. We're going to start off up here at the petal, and the petal is probably the part you all are most familiar with. These are the parts you pay a lot of attention to when you're coloring or drawing, because these are usually the pretty part of the flower that you see the most of. The petals are often going to be colored, and they are usually very colorful to attract pollinators to come to their plant. And we will be talking about pollinators in just a moment. Moving down from the petal, I'm going to start over here with the pistil. So the pistil is this whole part right here, and the pistil is the female part of a flower. The pistil includes the stigma, the style, and the ovary. The stigma is this part at the top, which is often really sticky because it's what grabs onto the pollen when it's being pollinated. The stigma is held up by the style, which is this part right here that connects down to the ovary. The ovary is what produces the ovules, which are the eggs needed to help a plant fertilize or create more plants. The second part that we're going to be talking about is the stamen. The stamen is the male part of a plant. The stamen includes two parts here, which is the anther and the filament. The anther is the part that produces your pollen. This is where your pollen comes from, and the filament is what holds up the anther. Then at the bottom here, we've got a sepal, which are these two leaves that you see coming off of right here. They just look like little leaves. They live at the base of the plant here. The next part that we're going to move over to is the bottom half of the plant. Now these posters up to beside each other is going to be a little bit taller than I could fit on camera, so we've just got them beside each other here. We've got our stem leading down to our roots, and then we've also got a leaf here. So we're going to start down here at the bottom, which is our root system. So roots are actually a combined part of multiple different types of roots. Here we have our primary root, which is the longest, oldest root that we've got. That's the one that is going to dig down the deepest and anchor the plant into place. And our secondary roots are going to be what's bringing in the most water. And then we also have our root hairs, which are these tiny little hairs coming off of here that you may not be able to see. They also take in water and nutrients. Now, everything that is absorbed from the roots travels up the stem and makes its way to our flower here. Then we also have a leaf. We all know that plants usually have leaves, and if you're drawing or coloring your flowers, you probably add a leaf to it. So the leaf includes three different parts. We have our petiole, which is what is like its own little stem. It's what attaches the leaf to the stem here. Then we have the leaf blade, and then we have the leaf veins. So the leaf veins are what's going to also absorb water to carry down and nutrients and sunlight. And then the leaf blade is what is going to be facing up to get as much sunlight and nutrients as possible so that it can participate in photosynthesis. It's time to move into the second part of our lesson today, and we're going to talk through photosynthesis. Now, photosynthesis sounds like a really big word, but it's actually just two smaller words put together in one. So the first part of photosynthesis, photo, means light, and the second part of photosynthesis, synthesis, means to put together. That means that photosynthesis is the process in which plants take in sunlight, carbon dioxide, and water. A chemical reaction occurs, and then they put out a simple sugar and oxygen, the oxygen that we use to breathe. So today, to get started talking about photosynthesis, we're going to go ahead and go into the first thing needed, which is sunlight. So as you can see on this diagram, sunlight comes down from the sky and it hits the blade of our leaves. Now, one thing that we notice on this poster that we also probably know in general is that leaves are green. The reason why leaves are green is because they are made up of these little things called chlorophyll. Now, chlorophyll is what absorbs the sunlight and makes leaves green. So the chlorophyll takes in the sunlight that hits the blade of the leaves, and it keeps it somewhere safe so that we have it while we get our other two things needed. The second thing that we need when we are going into the first part of photosynthesis, along with sunlight, is water. So our roots take in water. The water travels up the stem and goes right back into the leaf where it is kept safe with the sunlight. So now we have sunlight and water. And the last thing that we need is carbon dioxide. Now, we don't need to breathe in carbon dioxide, but plants need it so that they can go on with photosynthesis. So once the plant has taken in sunlight, water, and carbon dioxide, a chemical reaction happens. Energy is released for the plant so that it can keep growing. And then there are two things that are put out that we get to have. That is a simple sugar and oxygen. Those are the byproducts of photosynthesis. So an energy is released from the sun that interacts with the water and the carbon dioxide, which leaves us with a simple sugar and also oxygen. That very simply is how photosynthesis happens. In the next part of our lesson, we are going to be talking about pollinators and how they help plants. Hi, everyone. We are back again to talk about our final part of today's lesson. So we have gone through parts of the plant, we have gone through photosynthesis, and now we are going to talk about pollinators. So pollinators are bees, butterflies, moths, birds, bats, insects, and multiple small animals that travel from plant to plant and carry pollen on their bodies, and they help some plants reproduce. This act is called pollination. So pollination is when the pollen from the male part of the plant makes its way to the female part of the plant so that fertilization can occur and more baby plants can happen. Pollinators are often have some sort of fur or hair or feather, and the sticky pollen stays on them. So when they are out doing what they do in the middle of the day, then they stop at one plant and they get the pollen on them, and then they move to the next plant where they deposit the pollen on the other plant. So that is simple enough. One of the most common and most popular pollinators in the world is the honeybee. The honeybee is actually responsible for over 90% of pollination that happens in the world. Some plants have both male and female parts so that they can pollinate themselves, but a lot of plants rely on these pollinators to do the work for them. So now you know where the saying a busy bee comes from. They are out doing really hard work, making sure to go around and pollinate so that we still have beautiful plants to look at. Okay, everyone, that finishes up today's lesson over parts of a plant, photosynthesis, and pollinators and what pollination is. I hope you guys learned something new today. I had a lot of fun talking about this with you all. Again, my name is Miss Allison from the UT-TSU Extension Office in Rutherford County, and I am with 4-H. I hope you guys have a great rest of your school year, and I hope to see you all soon.